All right, so this is the card that I want to show you how to do. Let me just open it so that you can see what happens as I open it. It actually can open like a book, or it can open like a full card. The one that I show you, I think I'm going to make like a book because it's still really cool. You've got a flap here, then you have a flap here. So if you want to glue those down, you can. But yeah, so I'm using Nature's Harvest for this card. And I'm not going to take a lot of time to wait for you to stamp everything, but I'm going to do the fold with you so that you have that, and then you can come back and decorate it as you like. Okay? So to get started, give me 2 seconds. My lights both died. My batteries both died, I should say. So I just needed to charge them a little bit to hopefully get enough juice. I didn't use them that much, but I guess they died from sitting here all week. There we go. Now you'll be able to see better. Okay, so let's put this aside. And I'm going to grab my trimmer. And you will need the whole extension. So the first thing that you're going to do is cut a 5.5-inch piece, or 5-inch piece off your designer paper. I already did that part. Now, if you have a design that matters which direction, a directional design, you will want to make sure that your pattern is this way on your 5 inches. So it will, as you put it in your cutter to cut the 5.5 inches, it will be going diagonal, or not diagonal, horizontal. Okay. So go ahead and do that. And so I have this at 5 inches. So I'm going to turn it this way now. We're going to cut it at 11.5 inches this direction. So just cutting a 1/2 inch off. And you can save that for something. I'm using this gorgeous Blackberry Beauty paper, and you can see there's some gold embossing on it, and then the other side is rich razzleberry. So we're going to just see a little bit of the rich razzleberry. It will set it off, but this gorgeous embossed side is the one that you'll see a lot more of. Okay, so let's go ahead and emboss again. If your design, if you have a direction to this, you want to make sure that it's going up and down now. Okay, so we're going to start at, where did I write my, I put my book over there. So you're going to score it at 1 3/4, 1 3/4, 4 3/4, and 7 3/4. And that's it for that. Okay, so we're gonna, you know what, I did this wrong again. No, I didn't. Okay. I thought I did. So the 1 3/4 inch piece gets folded back towards you, and then you just fan fold the rest until you have a piece that looks like this. Okay, so it is like a W, a partial W. All right, just make sure that's all laid out. Now, I'm going to tell you what I did with the rest of it, but there's your main fold, and you'll be able to decorate this the way you want. So I have a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so basic card size, but it's just a quarter sheet because this is our card. This is our opening piece. This way you can see all the gorgeous sides of this paper. And that will be my base. But I decided, I'm copying this from Meg Loven, who was actually getting this design, I believe, from my friend Jennifer Cotton. I haven't looked to see hers, but I'm copying this exactly from Meg Loven because I just loved how she put this together. I loved all the colors and everything. And like I said, I'm going to be using this beautiful stamp from Nature's Harvest. So let me just go ahead and stamp that. I'm stamping that in early espresso, and I'm hoping that's gonna fit on this piece that I have here. There we go. So early espresso. And then through the magic of television or video, I have already die cut that. And with the die cut that comes with that set, and that makes it really nice. I'm going to do some coloring now with my blends. This ink is not alcohol ink. It is a water-based ink, so it works well with our blends. And the colors I'm using match the colors in the paper. So I'm using cinnamon cider and rich razzleberry. And then I'm going to, of course, add a little bit of green with our mossy meadow. So let me go ahead and start with the mossy meadow. And this is how I color with my blends. I start out with my light color first. And I'm going to just go ahead and color this whole thing with the light mossy meadow. I did have to go get another pen because my brush tip on this was pretty much ruined and it was very difficult to color with. So I fortunately had another one on hand, knowing that it was definitely used very hard. When I use these at my classes, they get used by a lot of people, and so I tend to have to replace them more often because it's not just me using them for a few cards here and there. I forgot to turn my fan off, but it feels pretty good. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. But if you hear a little whining, that's what that sound is. Alright, now I'm going to come in with my dark one, and I'm just going to use the firmer tip and just add a little bit of darkness here and there. You see the lines on the leaves, that gives you an idea where you might want a little bit deeper color. And then I'll come back with my light one again and just spread that color. I'm very bad at coloring on video, so I'm a little bit out of the line there. I'll need to touch that up with my color lifter. But this just helps to spread that color a little bit so that it's not just leaving it there in a line. Alright, so there's my, and I could probably zoom this in just a little so that you can see this easier. Let's try that. I probably shouldn't be using white as this background because I think that it focuses very badly on white. Okay. But I do not want to get this on my mat because this mat does not clean very well. So I will use that. All right. Next, I'm going to use my light rich razzleberry, and I'm going to color the petals of the leaves. Again, I'm just coloring everything. And then I'll come back in with the dark rich razzleberry, and I will add some shading to this. I'm going to go ahead and do that one. I don't want it to dry before I get to that point. And I'm just going to add a little color there. Maybe on the petals here where they may be underneath the other petal, I'll put some color there. It looks messy right now. Let me come back in with my lighter color, and I'm just going to spread that color. This pen is new and it's very dark. I mean, it's very wet, so I'm getting probably a little more color than I hoped to with the lighter one, but I think you'll still be able to see once that dries that we have some areas of shading that are a little darker. You can see how at the top here, and I maybe shouldn't have done that dark at the top, seeing that would be where the sun is shining, but I'm not an artist. I just try to look like one. Whoops, I grabbed the dark and I don't want to do that. Oh well, it's a different type of flower. This one's, I don't know, this flower's tricky for me. I should say this whole stem of flowers, because you've got these two flowers that are very similar, and then you've got this one that is just opening up, and so I guess the color on it will be a little bit different because it hasn't opened up completely, and you know how they are. Sometimes they're a different color underneath. And I'm not sure if they're darker or lighter, but this one's going to be darker. There we go. All right, let's go back to the light one again. Again, I'm going to just do this whole flower. All right, and then we will switch to the dark and add a touch of shading. And I'm going to come down here under, and you can even see the lines on the flower. You can sort of see some lines where they tried to make it look like it was a little darker there. And that helps me because, like I said, I'm not the artist. Whoever drew this is the artist. And they gave us little hints as to where we might want to add that extra bit of color. And then I'm just going to come in with my light pen again, and I'm going to pull that color. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm pressing it into the paper, and so losing that line. And that's the beauty of blends compared to other markers, is you don't have to have those lines where the pen lifted or whatever. I'm going to blend this just a little bit more now that it's dry. See if I can. Okay, so when you look at the other side, there's where the color went. It goes into the paper a little bit and blends that out. Okay, and then we've got, is this light? I have both light cinnamon ciders for some reason. Oh well. This will be our little center of our flower. And since I only have the two lights, I'm going to have trouble getting a darker shade here. But if I come back over this just a little bit, I'll be able to darken it. Usually you have to wait till it dries and then come back over it, but you get the idea. Okay, let me get rid of those. All right, let's put this together. So what I also have here for where I want to place my flower, she used the cork paper, which is so beautiful. And see this, let me just move my light here a minute. Is that giving you enough light? So I'm going to, I cut that out with the So Sweetly Stitch So Sweetly dies. And this is the second one down from the largest scallop stitched one. And I'm going to glue that onto a piece of Early Espresso. You just have to be really careful. I'm using Seal Plus, which I use all the time. It's my favorite. But it will grab the back of this and pull it up a little bit. And then you have to just back up till you get that back down. Now this piece is, let me just get the measurement for you here. It's about 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 by 2 3/4 is the measurement for the Early Espresso to match this die. And then I also have the same die cut on my Very Vanilla, and then I cut a little smaller one, and we'll show you what we'll do with those in a minute. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this on here with a few dimensionals, and I actually have, I'm going to be using some of my pieces from the edge that I snipped because I need some small pieces to stick down in here. So I don't want them to show out the edge of my flower, so I'm trying to use these small pieces. And then I could use a full one for up here because these flowers are pretty large. Boy, I like when these peels want to come off before I even get this down. That's nice. It saves me a little extra work, right? All right, so I wanted to put plenty on there because I didn't want it to sag anywhere. And I'm going to pop that on there. You can see how nicely that shows up with the cork background. All right, so now we are ready to assemble, and a few steps along the way, but I only want to glue it here because it's going to stick to this flap. So I'm going to put 3 dimensionals down the side here. I guess I could have kept that over just a tad. But I am making sure that I'm leaving an empty space here because we're going to add a ribbon. Let me just center this. Okay. And so for the one that I showed you, I used the really pretty gold, it looks like gold lame ribbon. It's called gold shimmer ribbon, I believe is what it's called. But this one I decided to add this crochet, what's it called? I'm not sure if it says on here. It's very vanilla, but it's a scallopy ribbon. And you need about 18 inches, so I'm going to use my grid here to measure that. And she used our crocheted trim, and I don't have that for some reason. It's heavy. It would be really nice for this card, but it's a little heavy for most things that I do. So this is gonna, it might be fun to try to slide this under here, but I'm gonna slide that underneath. And because we have dimensionals on there, it makes it easy to slide that through. And then I'm gonna just wrap it around and make sure these edges are pretty even. Like so. And now we can go ahead and glue this. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this ribbon down so that it stays where I want it. And then I'll glue my paper. Again, I suggest a good adhesive for this card because it's an action card. It has a lot of movement to it, and you want to make sure that it stays in place as your intended recipient opens it. Now this early espresso piece is 5 1/8 by 3 and hold on, let me get that exact, 3 7/8. 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Okay. And now we're ready to go ahead and glue this down. Oops, there, that tore. So I just back up, and then I will have to advance this because some of the adhesive is off of it. So I'll advance till I get sticky. Not sure why sometimes it grabs on the cardstock even if it's not embossed. And so because we cut this piece, this designer piece at 5, and then we have our accent piece a little smaller, we have a little more of this color showing around here, which is nice because it really helps pull out that rich raspberry that's in our paper, and of course that we colored with. And then we can tie it. Now I'm not going to tie this till we finish the inside. So I told you that I was going to make this one more like a book. So what I want to do is I want to just pick this up, and I'm going to add some adhesive here on the inside of, in the inside of the W. And that way I open this, and this doesn't pull out, okay? So it's just like a little book. So whichever way you like to do it will be fine. It looks like I got my ribbon crooked on the other side. Let me just get that straight. Okay. All right. So on this piece, because this one's a little bit shorter, I'm using the smaller of the 2 scallops on here. But before I stick that on there, I want to just add a little bit of stamping. And I'm going to use this image from the set. And I think I'm going to do that. I did it in Early Espresso on my other card, but I think I'll do it in Rich Raspberry here just for something different. And I see my rich raspberry is starting to get that gross moldy thing on it. So I will soon have to replace this. The first thing I will do is call Stampin' Up! And see if they will replace it for me. Depends on how long ago I bought it, of course. But as you can see, it's one of our newer pads, so it's less than 2 years old. Yeah, that's disappointing. And I've been very careful not to get anything wet on them, even if I watercolor with it. Let me just clean this real quick. All right. Okay, that's ready to go on. Let's go ahead and glue that. Okay, and then we can turn our page. Sorry, I got out of the camera there. And then I'll do the next one. And for this one, since this is an early espresso, we'll stay early espresso for this. And I'm just going to ink up the flower that we already used on the front and just add a little bit of that here in the corner. There we go. And we'll need that again for the saying. So this one will go right here. And I'm going to give that a second to dry because I do tend to smear them if I don't give them just a second to dry. Now to put this one down, what I did was I actually took my card because I want it centered, but I also don't want it to stick out past where this goes. So if you can see here, I'm lining this up with the early espresso piece here and sort of the scallop on top of it. And then I'll just close it down, lay it lightly so that if I need to straighten it or anything, I can. But that looks about right. And so when I close this one, I'll still be able to see it. But when I close this one, I won't be able to see it. Okay? I don't want to see it when the card is closed. But it's okay to see it when this is open because that tells them that there's another, oh, there's another layer there. So I want to open that and see what that is. It looks like I could straighten this just a hair. There we go. Okay, that takes care of that. We still need a saying on the front, so I'm going to stamp the thank you from this set. And you know what? I think I'm going to do that in Rich Raspberry as well. Nah, no, I'll stay with this because I already have it inked in that. That way I don't have to wash it. And try to get that on there straight. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a little snip just to diagonal it. And I'm going to just add one dimensional because I'm going to put it about here. And I'm going to glue it on where this is popped up, but I'm going to put a dimensional here where it's not going to be on the flower itself. And I'll put some adhesive over here on this end. And there we go. And then we're ready to tie this because we're all finished. Let's just look at it again because it's so much fun. Okay. So we're ready to tie that. And then they'll be able to untie it and read all of your notes inside. I really like this, and I love being able to use both sides of my designer paper because I'm always sad. Oops, I missed that. I'm always sad when I have to cover up one side and don't get to see all of it. And in this paper, all the sides are pretty, and you'll probably want to be able to see them all. I'm having a really hard time tying this bow. There we go. All right. And I might have to trim that just a little bit. Don't need all that sticking out. So, all right, let's see. Let me tie this one real quick and then we can vote on which ribbon we like best. I think this gold stands out more for sure. That lacy ribbon is very, if you don't really love the big glitz and glamour of ribbon, you might choose this one because it's a little more understated. But yeah, So I hope that you will try that card. If you brought some paper today to stamp with us, I would love you to post the cards that you came up with. I'd love to see. I'm sure that you all chose a different designer paper, so it'll be really fun to see what everybody creates with this. And yeah, really cool card idea. So, all right, thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful week. God bless you.